Hey everybody, how's it going today? Welcome to the Trading on the Nadex platform webinar. Today is January 20th, and my name is Adam McGaden. So I think we have a pretty good group in here. We're about a minute, 2 minutes past 11, so I will jump on in and get started. Hey, already see some stuff coming up in the chat. So I'm going to jump right into the webinar here. If you do have any questions, I do have the chat up on a separate screen over here, so feel free to ask them. I'll get to them as they sort of come up and get to a good stopping point in the webinar. Really quick, we have this disclaimer that should be on everyone's screen right now. This will be on the front of all of our webinars. Very, very basically, you can read through it as well, but very basically what it says is if you are trading on Nadex and really trading anywhere, there is obviously risk involved. There's going to be risk involved anytime you put money into any financial market. So therefore, don't trade with something you aren't willing to lose. Don't trade with money you need for rent, for food, for anything that you really need. You want to be trading with discretionary income. Also, I will be making some demo trades to show you how the platform works today on the webinar. None of these trades are going to be recommendations of trades to actually go ahead and make. In fact, I will be making them sort of at random just to show you the functionality of everything. So I probably wouldn't copy these trades because I will just be making them with really no rhyme or reason. All right, I think that's probably good enough here. I'll let you read that for one more second. Gotta get the coffee in. Okay, let's jump in. Oh, we have this nice, I guess you probably have two pictures of me on your screen right now. That's just a little bit about me. I've been working in Nadex since 2017. So, wow, we're in 2022. So going on 5 years now. Kind of crazy to think about. I've been focusing on the products in our platform offering actually I haven't updated the slides. The last 4 years been focused on all of our products, all of our platform. In fact, the platform that we have now, I was a project manager on kind of building this entire platform. So this is why I like to give these webinars, because I've been around since sort of the beginning of this platform here. In my personal trading, I trade mostly equities and equity options, a little bit more just straight equities these days, although I still do dabble in options. I don't trade on Nadex because no one at the exchange trades on Nadex, at least in the live environment. If you're trading on demo, you might be trading against me, but no live money. You're never trading against someone that's actually an employee of Nadex on the exchange. So that's about enough of having that pre-pandemic screen picture on the screen there. Real quick before we just jump right into the platform, this is going to be the agenda. I'll go through the layout. I'll go through sort of the bottom panel place of orders. Really, I'm going to go through everything in the platform except for all of the charting functionality. If you are interested in the charting functionality and a webinar of me explaining that, I do that once a month as well. So next Thursday will be the charting webinar. Also, if you don't want to wait for next Thursday, you can always go to our YouTube channel and you should be able to see previous charting webinars there as well. All right, well, let's jump right into this. Enough of this slideshow. So let me get out of here. And here we go. We are on Nadex.com. You should probably know how to get to the platform, but if you don't, you just want to go to the login button at the top right-hand corner once you go to Nadex.com. And then you want to sign into your demo account. So I'm going to use my really great I Like Nadex account because, I like Nadex. And here we go. Now we have logged into the platform here. This is going to be the base general screen you see when you first log into the demo and also the live environment. They look very similar. Just make sure that you are looking at the top right corner and that you're looking at either demo or live to make sure you are in the right environment. All right, so kicking off, over on the left-hand side of the screen, we have all of our different products. So at the top left, we have our binary options, we have our call spreads, and we have our knockouts. So you can click on any of these three options. Right now, we are going to start off with the binary options, and let's go down. What do you want to do today? So you can see underneath the binary options and underneath when you click into the product, you can see the actual market, the actual asset classes that you can choose from to go find a product to trade. So we'll start out with Forex. Forex is fairly popular, especially for the binary options on the exchange. And let's go down. What do we want to do today? Let's do a pound dollar contract. So as you can see, I'm scrolling down. I can see the individual asset classes, so stuff like pound dollar, euro dollar, and then underneath each of the actual individual markets, you can see the duration. So you can see I have a 1 or 2 hour contract, so this one ends in about 52 minutes. I have the other 2 hour contract, so that hour ends in about 1 hour and 52 minutes. You're always going to have these rolling 2 hour contracts throughout the day, so you're always going to have a contract with about 1 hour to expiration and about 2 hours to expiration, because they reset every hour. Then you'll have the daily contracts as well. I'm going to kick it off with one of the daily contracts, just so we probably have a little bit better range of strike prices that are pricing here. So you can see I click into the actual pricing, and then I have my price ladder. So these are going to be all the available strike prices you can trade for this specific pound dollar contract that expires tomorrow at 11 a.m. And as we click on just any of these, you can click on the buy, you can click on the sell, or on the actual strike itself. You'll actually see it pulled up in the middle of your screen. And very quickly, I'm going to change. I'll show you how to do this a little bit later on, but I'm going to change my settings to dark mode because I don't really like looking at the light mode, and I know it'll bother me the entire webinar if I don't do that. But I will go back to the settings and show everyone how to change that a little bit later on in the webinar. So as you can see, when you actually click into the strike price, you can click the buy or the sell. It's actually going to populate both the deal ticket on the right-hand side over here, and it's going to populate the chart itself for that pound dollar contract, the pound dollar underlying market. You can also see that it has all the strike prices overlaid on the chart itself, and it's selected on my strike price here. So I clicked 1.3640, and we can see I have the buy side and the sell side. I can select them both from the charts as well, and you can actually see it's sort of shaded below or shaded above as a visual representation of where you really need that market to go. And also, as you can see, as I click around, it's also trading, or it's also changing on the left-hand side, sorry, on the right-hand side, the deal ticket, what's actually showing on that deal ticket. So let's dive right into the deal ticket. I did talk a little bit about the chart. The deal ticket is probably one of the more important areas and aspects of the entire platform. That's where you actually make your trades and manage those trades. So going from sort of top to bottom here, top left of the deal ticket, we have this indicative price. So the indicative price is going to show you a very good indicator of where the underlying market is trading at the current time. It is an indicative price. It's not always the exact dead-on price. Really, what it's doing is it's taking the last 10 seconds of ticks or so and giving you an average. It's basically what we do for our settlement price, and so it's showing you that every sort of second throughout the trade. So this is what you want to be comparing to your strike price. This is the indicative price. You want it to be either above or below. You want the indicative price to be either above or below that strike price, depending on if you bought or sold. You'll also notice this indicative price should be pretty close to this charting price. Actually, I think I have it set on the wrong thing. I have it set to the mid. It should be very close to it. But anyway, so the indicative price and the charting price should match up there. You can also see on the top right of the deal ticket, it expires in 22 hours and 49 minutes. So that's the time to expiration. Obviously, it expires tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And then you have basically the main question of the contract. So it sort of just takes the contract out into a sentence-long question. Will pound dollar finish higher than 13640 at 11 a.m. tomorrow? If you think it will, if you think yes, you want to go ahead and go on the buy side. So you have this yes here. If you think no, you think it's going to be either equal to or less than that 13640 point at 11 a.m. tomorrow, or it's going to generally move in a downward direction, you want to go ahead and get into the sell side. So you can either buy or sell a contract right at the beginning, and that's either really getting into a sort of long position or thinking the market is going to move in an upward direction. Then the sell side, of course, being the reverse of that, being sort of a short position in the market and thinking it's going to move in a downward direction. So we will jump into a trade here in just 1 second, but before we do that, I do want to go through everything else on the deal ticket itself. Right below these buy or sell options, and obviously these are the prices for the buys and the sells, right? So 55.25 is the best available price on the buy, and 53 best available sell price. You can also look at everything down in the order book below those prices. So these are just going to be the top prices available on the market, but if I hit show market depth, I can actually see there are more prices sort of underneath that top of the market. So for example, if I bought, they obviously move around, but if I took 100 of these contracts at 53.50, the only ones left would be sort of the 250 that are beneath them at the bottom there. But they're always moving, always changing the prices to update with the current market conditions. So that's going to be how you see the market depth is what it's called, or any of the other orders on the order book. And actually, if you place an order in, it's a limit order that hasn't yet been hit, hasn't yet been executed, you can actually see that as well, and I will show you that in just a second. So then we have our order type. There are two order types on the exchange here. There is limit GTC, that's going to stand for limit good till close or good till cancel. You also have your market order. So if we go in here, we can choose the market order. Very basically, a market order is going to be what you want to put in to get into the best available price in the market right now. While a limit order, you're really putting an order out there to get into a price maybe in the future that you want it to hit, but is not where the current market is right now. Or you can use it to set sort of take profit, say if the market's going to go up to a certain point. And I will go through and show you examples of all of this in just one second. So you will notice though, if I select the market order, there's only going to be one selection little box below that. That's going to be the size. And I can go up or down. This is just how many contracts that I actually want to buy for this price. If I go to a limit order, however, it's going to show the size and the price. So like we were just talking about, the limit order you can put in for a price that is not what the market currently is. And basically you're putting in an order that's saying, if the market comes to this price, then get me into the contract at that point. Just for this example though, we're going to go with the market order. Before I do that, I want to show you all the columns at the bottom. So we have the max loss and the max profit. So let's just do a nice easy number here. Let's say I want to pay $60 for this contract. So you can see as I put the 60 in, it's going to change my max loss to $60. So what I pay is my maximum loss on the contract, what I actually pay to get into the contract. And my maximum profit is always going to be 100 minus what I'm paying to get it. So in this case, 100 minus 60, you're going to get this max profit of 40. Why is it 100 minus whatever you're paying to get in? Well, because the maximum possible payout you can get on any binary option contract, on a single binary option contract, is going to be $100. If it goes all the way to expiration and it expires in your favor, you're going to get a $100 payout. If I paid in for 60, paid out for 100, that's going to be a nice $40 profit there. Of course, not including any fees you would pay on that. So that's going to be how the market, the max loss, max profit works. And if you want to go in yourself and play around with it, you can put in, let's say 70. That's going to give you a max loss of 70, max profit of 30. So you can see sort of that relationship there working. You can also see when we go down here, we have this max ROI and the probability in the money. So these are two very, very important calculations, and something that I do want to go into just in a little bit more detail, because I think it's a very, very important part of binary option trading, and why, in fact, you might want to get into a more expensive contract or a less expensive contract. So first of all, we see our max ROI. So this is going to stand for the maximum return on investment you can get for this contract. You can see it's moving around because it's actually pricing it off of the best available market price and not what I have in here for the limit. So it's basically saying what you have at the best available market price right now, this is going to be the maximum return on investment you could get. And really what it's saying is, okay, if I pay in for, about $56, I get, what would that be? $44. My mental math here is a little slow today. $44 payout, that's going to be about a 75% return on investment, right? So basically, if you do, and you can click in here and see what the calculation is, but very basically, it's going to be, the amount you paid in versus or compared to the amount you could get out. And we can see the difference in this, and I'll show you in a second. If I go to, I guess I'll show you right now. If I go down to something like this $90 contract, well, now my max ROI is only about 8%, right? Because I'm paying $90 to get into the contract. The maximum I could possibly get out of that contract would be about $10. And so after fees, that maximum return on investment is going to be about 8% there. Now, why would you get into that? This is where we get into the probability in the money calculation. So that's what this means, ITM, in the money. This is the probability that at the end of the contract will actually expire in your favor. Let's go back to our earlier strike we were looking at earlier. So this one is the 13640 strike, pricing right around 59. And you'll see I have a higher max ROI on this one, but my probability in the money is much, much lower. So you can see here, so basically what the probability of the money is it's taking the midpoint of the buy side and the sell side. So what's right in between that, it's saying that is the probability that the market is pricing in that it thinks that this will expire in your favor, right? You can sort of think of it as sort of a whole percentage, because percentages are out of 100. These binary options are priced out of 100. Basically, wherever the market is pricing, whatever the midpoint of that the bid-ask spread is what we call it, or the buy and the sell, whatever the midpoint of that is, you can sort of think as that's the probability that the market is pricing in that this will expire in your favor. So the probability that this is going to be above this 13640 point at the end of the contract. So you can see, because we're very close. If we zoom in on the chart, we're super close to this line we need it to be above. It's very close to a 50% probability, right? It's above a 50%, but you can see it's fairly close. So because we have a lower probability on this contract, we have a higher potential return on investment. And you can sort of think of it like risk. So we go down to this contract again that I showed you earlier. This one pricing for about 90. Yes, I can get into this contract for $90. I'm going to be risking $90 to get in. My potential profit's only about $10. Why would I do that? Well, it's because the probability that this expires in your favor is a lot greater. And you can even look at it on the chart itself and sort of see if we were to get into this contract right here, well, we would need for the market to move all the way down to this point to not still be in the money at the end of the contract, to not get that whole payout at the end of the contract. While, if we get into this one, we only needed to move down a little, right? So you're paying a lot more for this sort of contract, but what you're paying for really is a better chance to be right. You can still be wrong. This could still go all the way down here. Nothing's ever certain in trading, but you have a higher probability of that expiring in your favor, and that's how it's being priced into the market there. So yes, you can, and we can even see it on the other side as well. If I were to get into a $12 contract, right? I get a $12 contract, I can potentially make $87 on this contract. Why wouldn't I always do that? Well, it's because the probability that actually happens is much lower, right? Only about a 10% we can see a probability that this happens. I know I'm spending a lot of time on this specific point, but I think it is such an important point for understanding how binary options work and why you would get into maybe a higher price contract versus a lower price contract, why you pay maybe $90 to get into a contract and only get $10 out. It's because the probability that happens is much higher. Or you pay $10 to get in to potentially make $90 profit. Well, the probability that happens is very low, and that's why those costs sort of sit in those areas. So I hope I've explained that very well. Let me know if you do have any questions on that. And I think okay, so I do have a question coming in here. It's a pretty good one. Why would we ever change the price ourselves? So for the limit price. So I will show you that in just 1 second. Real quick, let's get into a market order very quickly, and then I will answer that question because it is a good question and it is sort of the next thing we want to touch on here. So really quickly, let's just get into a market price because it's going to be a market order because it's going to be the easiest, quickest way to get into the market right now, right? So let's go, we'll do a market order, we'll do place order. And basically I'm just saying, get me in whatever the price is in the market, and it's going to get me in the fastest way. And you can see as I did that, it said, confirm my order. And now I can see my order in this bottom panel down here. So this is not my order, this is my actual position. I'm actually in a position now. We can see it on the chart as well. So now I'm on the buy side, right? So I want it to, hopefully this either moves in an upward direction or it expires in my favor at the end of the entire time. So before I will go over sort of managing your position here, but to answer the question that was just asked, why would you change the price? Why would you put in a limit order for a different price than what's currently in the market? So let's go back, we'll select our limit. So let's say that right now this market is trading at, I mean, we'll just say it's trading at what it is. We'll say it's trading at $52, right? And I think, I think that this market is going to go way down, or maybe I think it's going to go, yeah, maybe I think the market, the pound dollar is going to go way down and then going to go way back up. So I don't want to get into this at $53, but maybe if the market comes down a lot, that this will be priced a lot less because if the market is down here, if the pound dollar moves all the way down here, this contract is going to be priced a lot less. We can see that with some of these, right? The market's down here. These contracts are priced at only about $20. So maybe I think that's going to happen, and then it's going to move back up. I could put in a limit price of $20, and what this is going to do, I'm going to place this order. And so we'll see that didn't actually come down here, right? It didn't come into my order down here. It actually went over to this order panel. So what I'm basically saying, what I've just done is I put an order into the market to say, if this price gets down to trading at $20 on the buy side, give me into that price, right? Once it gets down to that price and it hits that, because I have this order sitting here, and actually let me do it on a different one, just so you can see a little bit better on it on a different strike, so we can sort of differentiate them. So I'll do the same thing, 20. I think it's going to come down and then maybe go back up. So I want to get in at this $20 point. We can see here, this 13620, 13620. If this comes down to that point, to that $20 point, it will automatically trigger. It will get me into the contract, and it will go over from this order panel into my position panel. If it never gets down to that $20 point, like let's say at 11 tomorrow when this contract expires, it has never reached that $20 point, I will have never gotten into that contract. It's just a working order. It's an order out there. So I won't have gotten into that contract. It'll just, cancel, right? Like it never happened. But if it does go down, if it does hit this point, I will get into that position. And at that point, I will be in that position for the duration of the contract unless I actually want to exit it. So that's one scenario where you might want to use a limit order in order to get into a contract, where you might want to change the price in order to use that to get in. There are other ones. You can also set a take profit order. So let's say, and I'll show you. So we sort of have this functionality already built in now to make it a little bit easier. It's this button down here. But very basically what you're doing with that is you're putting a limit order for above the price and saying, if it, I am already in a position, you have to sell. So I buy it again and I sell to get out. You basically say, if it goes up to that point, I'll sell out of this contract. And I'll explain that a little bit more when we get to the set profit target portion, because I think it's a little bit easier to understand there. One other thing I just want to point out, I said a second ago that you would be able to see the contract when, you'd be able to see the contract when I actually got it, and you can see this $20 right here. That's my order sitting out there on the exchange. So as you put working orders onto the exchange, you can actually see them in the order book. And so these are all orders from other people, from market makers, just that are out there sitting on the exchange, waiting to be hit, but haven't actually gotten hit yet. Yeah, no problem at all. No problem. All right. So moving on here, let's go over the bottom panel. So this one across the bottom, this is really going to be where you manage both your working orders, the one that haven't hit yet, and also your positions, the one you are already in. So this first one, this is going to be the default one. It's going to be your position panel. These are the positions that we've already entered and that we're currently in for the duration. So going from left to right, some of these are pretty self-explanatory, so I'll breeze through them. Type binary option. If it was a call spread or knockout, it would say that. Contract pound dollar rated to 13640, so it shows our market and our strike price. We have our probability in the money that we talked about and our indicative that we talked about. So it puts the indicative pretty close to the strike price, so you can know pretty clearly what you need to be above or below what's going on in the market. We have our expiration. That's going to be January 22nd tomorrow. January 21st tomorrow at 11 a.m. And we have our time left, so this is going to expire in 22 hours and 33 minutes. All of that pretty self-explanatory. The position, so this is going to be +1. If we were in a sell side, so let's get into a sell side contract real quick, just so I can show you. I think my internet's running a little bit slow, so sorry if you see a little lag, or I guess my computer's actually, let's put this back in. Okay, yeah. So sorry, my computer is. I need to actually trade this one in for a new one from the office. But you can see here. So this is -1 now. So +1. If I was in 2 of this contract, it would be we'll get it and show. We'll see +2, right? So we can see there that actually I'm going to get out of one of these real quick. So you can see there, if I'm in one side of these contracts, we have +1. If I'm in more of them, +2. So that's going to show you what side you're in the contract and also how many you have, right? So if it's a sell side, it'll be minus. If it's it'll be red. If it's buy side, it'll be plus in blue. We have our average price we entered into this contract. So because I just got in and out, it's not going to be it's going to be a weird price. Basically 51.125. That's only because I got in and I got out of a couple of those. Oh, and actually, as we were sitting here, one of my working orders, I think, just hit. So now I'm in 2 of those positions. So we have the average price. We have the current price, 46.25. That's going to be the current price that I could exit this contract right now. So if I get on the buy side, I have to exit on the sell side. And then we have our profit and loss, which you can see right now is about -4.63. I'm actually going to very quickly, I'm going to get out of this and then get back into it so I can show you guys with a little bit easier numbers here. Of course, it just, okay. Oops. Sorry about that. I know I'm moving really quick. I'm just getting in and out of this just so I can show you with a little bit easier numbers to understand. So these 3 columns, the average price, the current, and the profit and loss, are all interconnected. And the profit and loss, while it might seem pretty self-explanatory, actually may not be what you think. So I do always spend a little bit more time on this one because I think this is another one that's important. This profit and loss is not necessarily the profit and loss that you will take if this contract were to expire right now, or just generally the profit and loss that you will receive at expiration of this contract. What that profit and loss shows is the profit or loss if you exited this position right now, right? So you can always stay into a binary option all the way until the end, or a call spread, or the knockout, right? You could stay in all the way until tomorrow at 11 a.m. and that's fine. That's a completely viable way to trade. You can also exit early and either take your profit or take your losses, limit your losses early in the contract and say, okay, I want to sell this contract back into the market. Someone else take it off my hands. Well, this is what that profit and loss number is telling you. It is what I could get for this contract right now in the open market versus what I actually paid for it. So if we go here, we say I paid $49.25 for this contract. Right now, if I were to sell it back on the sell side, I can get $46, $49.25 minus 46, or whatever this is right now, because it's always moving around, but it's about $3.25, $3 always moving around, right? So let's say, I got in at 49, right now I can sell it for 46, 49 minus 46 is $3. So it is only the profit and loss of what, if I sold out of the contract right now. And this is super important because there are times when you could be very much in the money if it were to expire, but your profit and loss could be negative, right? You can have a huge profit if it were to expire right now, but that P&L could show negative. And there are times when you could have a massive negative P&L, or sorry, massive positive P&L, but if it were to expire right now, you would be at a loss. And I'll show you just super quickly to kind of drive this point home how that sort of thing can happen. So let's say that I got into this contract up here. So I'll zoom out a little bit so we can see a little bit easier. So I am in this contract all the way up here. If I were to get into this, let's just get into one. So this bottom contract is the one I just got into, 13720. So we can see right now, I'm at a profit and loss of about $8 because this is a very high up contract. That's the spread between the bid and ask get a lot higher. But for just example's sake, let's say this market starts to move up in the next, 12 hours, right? But sometime before this contract actually expires. And generally, if I get into a buy side contract and the underlying market moves up, my contract's going to be more valuable, right? Because the underlying market's getting closer to my strike price. As it gets closer and closer, the value of my contract is going to move up and up. So let's say by, right before this contract expires tomorrow, that the pound dollar has gone all the way up here. So if it's gone all the way up here, if it's moved from here to here, right, this contract more than likely is going to be positive for me, right? So let's say instead of $9, if it's trading around here, maybe it's $45 I could sell out for. Even though I could sell out for $45 at that point, right? I bought it for $9, I could sell it for 45. That's about $36 profit. And that would tell me here, it'd tell me a positive $36 profit. If it were to expire, I would still lose that initial $9 investment, right? Because it's still below this strike price. So all I care about at expiration of a binary option contract is it above or below? That's all I care about. But before the expiration, what I really care about is how much has this moved up and down from where I got in. So the profit, so again, that would be an example where the profit and loss could be showing very positively. But however, because it's still underneath this line I needed to hit, right? Because it's still underneath that strike price, I would lose money on that trade, even though my P&L showed positive right before expiration. Same thing can happen on the other side. If I get into a contract like way up here, I pay, $93 or so to get into this contract, and it's showing a, very negative P&L because it's moved all the way down here, right? Maybe now it's only pricing at $50, and it shows a negative $45 profit and loss. If it's still above this point at expiration, I am still going to get that $100 payout. I'm still going to take that about $7 max profit that I can get. So I know I do always spend a lot of time on this point, but I think it's super important to really dig into exactly what this P&L is showing, and that this is the P&L of what you can get right now if I were to exit this contract at this point in time, what the market will give me for the contract that I own, and not necessarily what I would get if this contract expired. So just always remember, at expiration of the binary contract, all you care about is above or below this line, right? If you bought, you want it to be above. If you sold, you want it to be below down here. But up until that point, it's really the relation of where you got into the contract versus where it is now, right? If it's gone up since you bought it, you could probably sell out for a profit. So I hope that that makes sense. The loss would be the amount that was bought. There's a question that came in that says the loss would be the amount that was bought. So at expiration, yeah. So if the contract expires, let's say I bought this for $49, right? And I need it to be above this line at expiration to get my payout. Well, if it expires below this line, my loss is going to be the entire thing I paid it, right? So it's going to be that $49. So, and this could be another viable strategy as well. If you don't always have to hold on to your losers till the end and think that they might go back up. You can actually get out early, right? You can close your contract early. And in fact, a lot of very successful traders do this. Is they will get into a contract. Let's say they get into a contract that's 50, and traders make mistakes, right? It can go down to 40. No one bats 100%, but you can always get out of that contract at 40. Only take a $10 loss, rather than taking that entire $50 loss if, for whatever reason you think the market conditions are different and it's no longer going to, no longer going to go in your favor. So I have belabored this point on binary options for just a little while now, but I always do think it's important. And I actually do little plug for webinars later in the month. I do one webinar a month on binary options, and then also another webinar once a month on call spread and knockouts, where I go very much more into detail on these points. So definitely come by for those as well. It's always on Thursday, always at the same time, and I sort of rotate them. So, but I'm going to move on here because we only have a certain amount of time. I want to make sure we get through everything on the platform because there are some different points that I want to make sure I go through. So we also have the set profit target. Now, the set profit target is somewhat similar to what we were talking about earlier with the limit order. And what it's sort of showing here, if I hit this, you'll see it brings up a new window or a new sort of deal ticket, right? bringing up a new deal ticket there. All right, so we were doing the set profit target, I believe. So we'll keep jumping right through this. Okay, awesome. I see that. I think the questions might be a little bit delayed, but I see we're good now. So hopefully that was a one-time thing. I don't really know what happened there, but glad we're back up and running. Okay, so set profit target, where we left off. So the set profit target was something that we were sort of chatting about earlier. So there's a couple of reasons you might want to use that limit order. This is one of them, but basically all we've done is sort of skinned it, so it's a lot easier to use to set a limit order. What a set profit target basically does is say, I got into this at 49.25. You can see this is the price I actually entered in. That's average price down here. I can put in a closing price somewhere above that, and I can actually set an order that will automatically get me out when I hit that level of profit. So let's say that what did I get in at? 49.25. I want to get out at 79.25. That's going to be a nice round $30 profit. So I can actually set this. I can say place limit order, and this is going to be another limit order like we were talking about earlier. So it's sort of another way you could use it. It's going to place a limit order on basically what it's doing in the background, placing a sell side order, but very basically you hit this, and this is going to put an order out there, and you can see it actually put it in. So I have a couple on here at this point. So it's just 13640 at 79.25. So it actually put a limit order up above where the current market is. So if the market does go up and hits that $79.25 point, it will at that point automatically get me out, sell my contract, take the $30 profit, walk away, clean my hands, take the money and run, basically. So it is a very useful tool in that regard as well, because there's nothing, I don't want to get too much into trading psychology, even though I love that topic, but there's nothing wrong with taking the money off the table that you have and walking away and saying, I took a profit, even if it goes higher after that, I took the profit, I got out, nothing ever bad about that, right? A lot of people do end up losing money just chasing more profits. So, you can set your profit target using that, and that's going to be the set profit target button here at the bottom right. You can also go ahead and hit this close button. So as I was saying earlier, you can always sell to get out of your position, and you can do that pretty manually by just clicking on this and putting in a sell side, but it's a lot easier to just hit this close button. So this is one of the other newer features that we've put in, and you can see here as well. This is sort of explaining what I was explaining with the profit and loss earlier. Is so you choose your size and you say, okay, the average price I paid was 49.25. The average current market price on the other side. So if I bought to get in, I sell to get out. So it's about 41.25. You can see that right here on the sell side. And so that's going to result in a profit and loss of -$8, somewhere around there. So if I want to close this out, I just want to take my loss, get out of this position, wash my hands of it. I can do that, hit my close position. There we go. I'm out of my position. It just got me out. I did lose $8 on that trade, but it's better than losing the entirety of what I actually paid to get into the contract. So that's going to be the entire sort of bottom panel here. We also have the order panel, which I've been showing back and forth. It's all pretty much the same fields as are on the position panel. One of the only difference is going to be this filled here. And basically what this filled is doing is it's just saying how many contracts have actually been filled from the number that I actually wanted to put in. So if I put in maybe a working order for 5 contracts and it got down to my price point, but there are only 3 available contracts at that price point, it might get me into 3. Say 3 contracts have been filled, 2 are still sort of outstanding. So that's what that is. That's showing there. We also have the price, so the price that I want to get filled. So this 20, and 79.25, and then the current price. So you can sort of see how close you are to getting filled on that order. You'll also see as well that as I click on the contract itself, so anywhere on these contracts in the order panel, I have yet another sort of different deal ticket come up. What this one is going to do is just going to allow you to delete your order or amend your order. So because these orders haven't actually executed yet, you don't have to sell out of your order like you would a position. You can just go ahead and delete your order. You can say, I don't want this order to be out there working anymore, and delete. It's gone. You can also amend your order as well. So if I just change the price or the size, I can amend the order. And now instead of being 1, it's for 6 at 22.75. So fairly straightforward there on that front. I do want to kind of burn through the rest of this super quickly here because I think we lost a bit of time there with that. There's technical difficulties. Really quickly though, this is a 24-hour history. I think there's a better way to look at your history, which I will show you in just a second, but this is a pretty easy sort of quick reference point that we have here. This is going to be an order history. So you'll see for most of these contracts, there's a order sent, order filled. It's every order you place on the exchange, not necessarily what you actually got into. And I will show you a better history that shows you actually what you got into as well there. Okay, awesome. So we're through the sort of bottom section. And apologies, I am going to speak a little bit faster because we did have that technical difficulty, but so we can just get through everything. So we'll go through the top bar real quick, the one all the way across the top. So top left, we have this open live account. That's going to pop you out if you don't have a live account yet to this application page. You know, feel free to do that whenever you feel ready. You can keep the demo for however long you want. Actually, you do, the demo does only last for about 30 days, but if you open a live account, you don't have to fund it, you don't have to trade on it. You just had to open a live account. You can come back and get our customer service team to extend that forever. So you can have the demo forever, but if you don't have a live account, it's only 30 days. Again, there's no obligation to trade or put money into the live account. You just have to actually open one to keep the demo. Moving across the top here, we have our platform status. It says operational. 99.9% of the time, that's going to tell you operational because we do have a 99.9% uptime. If in the very, very, very rare circumstance that there is something happening on the exchange that is degrading the status, and again, this is exceedingly rare that it happens, but no one's ever perfect with uptime. This will actually show you. So if you're seeing something on the exchange that looks weird or isn't going through, check this because a lot of times it can be your own internet problems, but sometimes, very rarely, sometimes it can be the exchange, and it will tell you here. If you click on it, you can go in and looks like our status page broke. So that is something to tell our developers. Generally, this will give you a status page, and we'll go through all of the different status options. I'm seeing a question in chat. How much do we need to open a live account? So you don't need anything really to open a live account. You can open it without putting any money in. Once you do want to put money in, you can go ahead and put any money that you want to trade in. But opening the account itself does not cost you anything. There's no sort of hidden fees. There's no hidden strings attached. It's just, you can open an account. And once you're ready, you can put in $100, you can put in $500, you can put $1,000, however much you feel comfortable with trading. And you can put that into your account and get started on that live account. But I always do recommend going on the demo until you do feel comfortable in that live environment, especially until you feel comfortable like functionally with how all these contracts work. But good question there. So going on over on that top bar, we have the exchange time. So it's always going to be Eastern time, and it can be a little confusing, I know, because we actually are based in Central Time. I am in Chicago. But just always remember that the exchange time, all the times of the contracts themselves, they are in Eastern time. And unfortunately, we can't change that. We're sort of mandated by our regulators to have the same time shown on the platform for everyone. Seems like a strange rule, but that's what we got to do. Moving on over, we have our balances. So you can see here I have my available balance and my total P&L showing. And as we go down here, these are different things that you can show here. You can have your account value, your total P&L, your position value. All of these, if you aren't sure what they mean, you can hit this little information bubble, and it's going to tell you, your position value is the total value of all current open positions, right? Your available balance is all your funds available. So super easy. You can change these out. You can put up whatever you want up here, whatever you'd like to track. And then you can also hide or show the values. I mean, this is useful for, people if you trade at a public computer or in a public space, or maybe you do webinars as well, teaching other people how to trade that you don't want how much money you have in your live account to be shown. But I think for most people, this is not too important, but it is there. Moving across here, I do have a question. Do you guys send out tax info at the top of every year for tax purposes? Yes, we do. Every February, and I will get into kind of a plug for making sure your address is up to date on this page, because every February we do send out a 1099-B. It'll tell you everything you need to know for taxes. So you'll get your 1099-B in February for the previous year. And that those are sent out. We are required to send those out through physical mail to a residential address. So that is why it's actually very important on this screen down here to make sure your residential address is up to date. Obviously, this is my demo account, so not as important on the demo, but especially on the live, make sure that's up to date. If you didn't notice, I got to this screen in the middle by hitting my account up here in the top right. So if you hit account in the top right, you have a whole host of options here to go through. This screen at the very beginning, it's going to show you sort of a breakdown of where all your funds are allocated right now at the current moment. So you can see most of mine on this demo account of my 10,000 are just available. I have about $170 in positions, so you can see that's a little blue bar right there. And then my reserve, I have such a high reserve balance right now because I have a bunch of money sort of reserved in case any of my working orders hit. And that's what that reserve balance is. That's going to show right here as well. So you kind of get a breakdown of where all your funds are allocated within your account, whether they're in trades, whether they're in reserve, etc. And then we have our total account value of P&L. If you are on a demo account and you do run out of money, or you just want to get back up to your $10,000 point, you can go and hit replenish balance. This is going to be how you replenish this. Now, I know some people blow through their $10,000 like every day. I would just say try to trade how you would realistically on your live account. Maybe you do trade $10,000 worth of real money every day. I would say when you're practicing on the demo, try to practice somewhat realistically and try not to blow through all 10,000. But if you do need more funds for the demo account, this is where you're going to do it. You can only replenish it once every 24 hours. And if you hit this button, you're going to go back up to a $10,000 available balance. No problem at all. I got someone said thank you for answering the questions in the chat. So no worries if you do have questions, throw them in there. Going back on through here. So I do want to go through these panels super quickly because I want to make sure we get to everything here. So we have a residential address. Again, I talked about this a second ago. Make sure it's up to date. Obviously, this is one I just use for webinars. So I don't live in Tradertown, Awesome 123. But if you do, just make sure everything's up to date. You've selected all of the right, everything correctly. If you want to edit it, you might have seen I just hit this little edit button, and then you can go ahead and type in whatever you should put in a real zip code. Yeah, so that's going to be how you do that. You can discard those changes, and then the contact details as well. Also on this, make sure these are up to date. Again, the only reason I don't have mine actually on here is because this is a webinar and I don't want to show all of you my email and my phone number. No offense to everyone out there. But make sure you do keep yours up to date because we might need to reach out to you on the demo or especially on your live account. On the live account, it's very, very important that you keep all of this up to date because we might need to reach out to you. We might not need to get in contact with you about whatever's going on your account. And you can also edit that the same way as we did on the last one, right? So as I go down here, we have our history. Now this before I get to history, this is also going to be in the live account where you see your wallet. So where you see your bank account, where you see your bank accounts you can withdraw to, withdrawal, depositing, all of that sort of thing. That's going to be sort of right here in the My Account section. Then we go down, we have our reporting, so we have our history. So this is where I go to always see my history. This is where you can pull up a transaction history. So the transaction history is going to show all of the contracts you actually got into and got out of. It also will, you can choose these. So trading activity will just show your trades that you got out of. If you do all or you do funding history, that's going to show any deposits or withdrawals from your account. Obviously, I'm on a demo, so there really shouldn't be much of that in my account here. I'm going to go to all, and then you can also, if you can do last 60 days, last 30 days, and then you can view your history. So view history, it'll pull that up. Might take a second. There we go. And so we can see here, we can see, so the credit adjustment, that's the demo replenishment that I just did. We can see it here, but for the rest of these, we see, my sell to close, my fee, my buys, my sell to close. So you can see when you sell it into a contract, it'll just say sell When you sell to exit a contract, it'll say sell to close. When you buy to enter, it'll say buy. When you buy to exit a contract, it'll say buy to close. Fairly straightforward. It shows you the date, time, and what you've actually paid to get in, and the strike price for each contract. Now, to get your overall P&L, it's not the best experience. I will admit that. We are working on making it better. But for right now, I would say the best way to actually look at your overall P&L, you want to go hit this download button. And it's probably not going to pop up for me because my download settings are really weird on my Chrome. So hold on, let me pull this over here and just grab this download. But for if you do this on your computer, it should just do that little thing where it comes up in the bottom left corner and it's like downloading. It'll download them as an Excel file, and just have to go grab it. But this will pop up all of your transactions for that time period in an Excel file. And probably the easiest way to actually get your overall profit and loss for a certain amount of time is, take out any sort of like credit adjustments, that sort of thing. So just pull this out of here, and then you're going to you can go ahead and you can sum up your contracts. So you give equal sum. Little Excel lesson here. You just drag it all the way up. You hit enter. You can see in the last 30 days on my demo account, I've lost about $211. Not too bad considering this is something I only use for webinars. Yes, and I got a question from the chat, and that's actually a very good question because I didn't show that. Settlement payout, does that reflect the profit that was made or the trade? So the settlement payout is going to be your total payout you got on the contract, right? So it's not going to be the profit, but it's going to be the payout. So those are different in that, here, and I'll exit out of this, but just remember, if you want to do this, you can do equal sum, and that's going to be how you sort of tally that up. And I know that's not the best way to look at your overall profit and loss. We are working on a better in-platform way to do that. So it is in development. Settlement payout is going to be, just the payout you actually got. So a settlement payout might be $100, will be $100 for a binary option contract, or $0. So to actually get your profit on that contract or your loss, you want to do the 100 that you got from the settlement payout, that I will say, minus whatever you paid to get in. So if I paid 40 to get in, it'll say my settlement payout's 100, but my profit there is 60, right? Paid 40 to get in, get 100 out, 100 minus 40, 60 bucks. Going on to statement, the statement is very basically just going to be the transaction history, but it's going to be in a PDF format, and you can download it as a PDF. Should be pretty self-explanatory there. Check it out if you would like to. Moving on down here, we have our contact us. If you do want to get in contact with us, you can go ahead and shoot us an email, customerservice@nadex.com. You can also write to us via snail mail. This is the address of our office. I would highly recommend not doing that because it takes a long time. It's going to take a long time for us to get back to you. Also, we don't go into the office as much as we used to, so they're not answered right away. But if you really want to, send us snail mail. But really, you can just email us, or you can go ahead and live chat. That's going to be the fastest way to get through to someone here. And I'll show you how to get to live chat in just 1 second. Sorry, I'm talking quickly. We're like right up against noon, and I want to make sure we get through everything here. Feedback section. Really want to hit this home. Tell us your feedback here, because this is what we use to basically add new features to the platform, or if we have something that's just not working. This isn't like a black box this goes into and no one ever reads it. I get an email report that I read first thing in the morning every day as I drink my coffee. That's just every single thing people write in here, I read, and it gets sent around to our developers. It gets sent around to some of our product managers. So we do read what you put in here. This is actually how we prioritize a lot of the stuff we put on the platform. So make sure you give your feedback, because it is extremely, extremely helpful. Moving on down, we have our refer a friend. So this is only going to be available if you do have a live account. But if you do have a live account, this will be where you have like your refer a friend code, and there's a program. I don't want to misspeak on the rules, so make sure you actually read the rules in terms of the program. But very basically, you can refer people and get some funds in your account for those referrals, as long as they do what they need to do and you do what you need to do on that program. Again, please read the terms and conditions of that program, because I'm not going to fully explain them here. I do not have time to do that currently. And then we have our log out. That's at the bottom left. So super quickly, I know we're right up against noon. If anyone needs to jump off, you can. I'm gonna keep going through until we're at the end of everything. But I'm just gonna go through kind of the side panel and show everything there very quickly. But sorry for sort of the running over today, especially with the technical difficulties we had. So going on down the side panel here, this is going to be sort of the last thing we want to look through. We have I have a question here. Will we get emailed a recording? If you would like to, you can always email customer service at nadex.com. They should be able to give you the link. You can also go to our YouTube channel a little bit later today, and it will be up on our YouTube channel. It's just going to be Nadex on YouTube. So if I go down the left-hand side here, we have our updates. So so first of all, markets is going to be the default. If you ever want to get back to this markets panel, you just hit this markets at the top left. You can go down to updates. This is just going to be where we say, like, you can see our holiday hours. So this week with MLK Day on Monday, we have our different holiday hours. We have our futures symbol and rollovers. This is where we put these. And then new things like, we have the max ROI probability. So basically, we just put updates here. You'll get a little bubble if there's a new update that we've pushed. Moving on down, we have a section for our mobile app. So we don't actually have our mobile app on the app or Google Play Store. How you're going to get this mobile app, it's very simple. You take your phone, you go and, it's a QR code. I'm pretty sure most people should know how to use a QR code at this point, especially with the pandemic. You go to a restaurant, you do that, but basically you scan the QR code. It's going to bring you to nadex.com, and then it will tell you how to sort of put this onto your home screen, and then it will operate like any other app. So we do have a mobile app. It's not in the Apple or Google Play Store, but you can sort of access it through. Basically, it's different technology. That's why it's not in there. But that's how you can access it super easily on your phone. Moving on down, we have this contact us panel. Really quickly, I'll touch on this. You can see this little how-to bubble here. If you click on this, we're going to have some courses here, and there are some here already. There's some articles. But basically, if you come in your first time, you don't know how to place a binary trade, you can click here, and it'll sort of walk you through step by step on how to actually, make a binary trade. I'm not going to go through the entire thing, but definitely feel free to check those out. And we will have more on the way to more courses sort of that walk you through the platform. The contact us button, this is going to pop you out here. It's going to tell you to email customer service at nadex.com, or you can chat with an expert. This is going to be our live chat at the bottom right, and that's probably going to be the easiest and fastest way to get a response. Moving on through the feedback section, I already talked about this once, but it's so important we put it in here twice, so please give us your feedback. And then at the very bottom left, we have our settings. So settings here, I'll quickly go over all these settings. The tolerance level, basically this is where you can set your tolerance level for our market orders without going too in detail with it, because again, we're short for time. The tolerance range we have on our market orders is basically a certain range away from the market order in which it will fill you if that price changes in the meantime. So very basically, if I shoot a price off, if I shoot off a market order, and let's say trading at $50, and it does take a little bit of time to actually go kind of travel to the exchange, get matched up with another trader, travel back. In that like millisecond that takes, the price can jump. So let's say it jumps from 50 to 60 in that millisecond. Well, basically what the tolerance range does, it says if you place a market order, it will only fill you within a certain range away. So I can set this to, let's say, $9. So then, not 98. If this is set to $9, basically what will happen is if it shoots that off and it changes up to $59 in that like little millisecond, it will actually fill that trade, and I will get into that order at $59, not the 50 that I saw when I hit that trade, because it's just putting you in the best price it can grab. But if it gets up to $60, well, that's over $9 away from that $50 point that I had. So that will not get you into that trade, and it will just sort of cancel, and you can go ahead and try again. So that's what that market order protection is. So you can change it down. So if you always want to get it to the exact price that it says on the market order, you can change it to 1, but your orders might not go through as often. And you can change it all the way up to, I believe, 25. Now that's going to mean your orders go through a lot, but there is that very slight chance that you do pay a lot more than you thought for that trade. So very basically, that's what it is. Definitely go on our site if you want a little bit more in detail explanation of what the tolerance level is, but here's where you can sort of set them to the different ranges. Going on down, we have our default order type. This is just going to be whatever pops up when you actually open up a deal ticket. So if I do market and I click here, we'll see it defaults to market. And now if I hit limit, it's going to default to the limit order whenever I open up a ticket. I like limit order, so I keep it on that, but I think the default is what it starts out as is the market order. Default contract size, if you always want your contracts to open up with a certain size in the size field, you can do that here. I would highly recommend just do one and then, change it to whatever you want to do, just because you never want to accidentally get into more contracts than you thought you were going to get into, right? Session inactivity. This was just how long without you interacting it'll take to log you out. So I keep mine high. If you trade on a public computer in a library or something, I would put it on low. And then we have our appearance. So earlier you may have seen that I have light mode on here. So you can do dark mode, you can do light mode. I can't stand light mode on anything, just a personal preference. I know people that love light mode. It hurts my eyes to look at stuff in light mode for too long, so I always do dark mode. But if you like light mode, this is where you change it. And then system, basically what system does is, and I think this is the default, it tries to just, I think it tries to pick up whatever you have on your Google Chrome setting. If you have dark mode in Google Chrome, it'll try to set it to that. If you have light mode in Google Chrome, it'll try to set it to that, or whatever your browser is. I usually just keep mine on dark, but that's where you would change that. All right, that is pretty much all of the webinar here. I know I went over just a little bit, actually kind of a lot, because we did have that technical difficulty in the middle that took a second to get through. If you do have any more questions, put them in the chat, and I will put up an end slide here. There are a couple more advanced things that I didn't fully get into, but I can always go into that if you do have any questions or anything about that, or if you have any questions, also you can always email us as well at customerservice@nadex.com. I am going to quickly put this up while I'm waiting for any questions. So yeah, if you do have any questions, throw them in the chat now. I did try to get through all of them as we were going through, but oops, why is this? Okay. I'm just going to go to this slide down here. So you can see here, we have our Trustpilot. We have all of our, Nadex Twitter, Nadex Instagram, YouTube, LinkedIn. This will be up on the YouTube after, within an hour or two of now. So definitely check that out if you want to rewatch this or any of our other. We have a ton of great content on our YouTube by me and by other people that work here and that we partner with. Anyway, follow us on our socials. If you are liking our social media team, does love it if you leave us a review at Trustpilot. And otherwise, if I don't get any more questions in here, I'm not seeing any more questions. You're welcome, no problem. Glad everyone enjoyed it. Okay, so I'm not seeing any more questions come in, so I will call it there. I hope everyone did get a good amount of information out of this. I always love chatting with all of y'all for an hour or so. This month coming up, every Thursday I do a webinar. So I think next Thursday is charts, and the Thursday after that I believe is binary options. The one after that I go in depth into call spread and knockout contracts. So definitely come back same time every Thursday. I'm doing these webinars. If you enjoy this, feel free to hang out next week. Other than that, hope you all have a great rest of your day. Good luck in all your trading, and thanks for coming along. Have a good one, y'all.